Hey, what's going on everyone? Mekkah here, welcome back to another Fire Emblem guide review. Today, we're taking a look at a Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones FAQ, frequently asked questions, as well as walkthrough by a person named CLLI. I'm sorry if that's meant to mean anything, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm sorry if you're watching, because this guide is, it's full of pitfalls, I can tell you that much. Now, there is a billion guides like this on GameFAQs or GameSpot, whatever they want to call themselves these days. They're always text only, and they're almost always pretty bad. Usually written somewhere between 2008 and 2015 or something like that. This guide in particular stood out to Salem, one of my subscribers and one of my moderators of my Discord server, and he said, this guide is interesting because it's really bad, but it was also last updated in the 12th of January 2020. I'm sorry, not really used to reading dates the wrong way, aka the American way. The European way makes much more sense to me. The 12th of January, that's like 1.5 months ago from this recording, so that's very strange, isn't it? But somehow it got through quality control there. I don't know why. Now, to be fair, later on in this guide, it says it was written in 2009, which is much longer ago than 1.5 months ago. And the latest update within the thing, it has like a version history that says it was last updated in 2009 as well. So probably the author didn't really take a look at it after that, but I still find it funny that someone in 2020 took a look at this, or was supposed to have a look at this and said, this is still okay, this is still good, because it's really not. So I can't read all this out. Like the person writing this, like for all like the fun I can make of them, they put a lot of effort into this, and a lot of it isn't even that bad. I'm going to read out the introduction just so you know the point of perspective, but from there we're going to skip all the way to the character analysis and the opinion section, because those are the most interesting ones. I recommend you find this guide yourself and read through this part, for example, which is also very funny. We might get to that depending on how long the video is already going to take. But this stuff right here, I'm going to skip it. Walkthroughs are not too great to make fun of, because honestly, you can get through FV8 with almost any method. But the way they go about it is more interesting, and the way they talk about the characters is more interesting to me than the walkthrough itself. But this stuff is generally okay. They get stuff like bows are effective against flyers, and don't forget the weapon triangle, that kind of stuff. So let's go down to the introduction. So, the introduction. For a little cartridge for a little game system, Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones sure is fun. I've spent countless hours getting to know all the aspects of this game, and now I'm sharing some of those things with readers, aka I beat the game and now I'm gonna write about it. This walkthrough is a walkthrough only. I won't be posting random number generator info, nor support statistics, nor every shop and what it stocks. No, this guide is on getting you through the game as smoothly as possible. So, take note here. Through the game as smoothly as possible basically means they're going to give you advice that is going to make the game as easy as possible, as painless as possible. I would presume with the least amount of grinding possible. No need to like abuse certain mechanics, and by abuse I mean like boss abuse, that kind of thing. No arena grinding. Just playing through the game chapter by chapter, using the best possible characters. That's what I think of when I read this. So my standards for this are pretty high at this point if I read it like that now. I know I'm reading a 2009 guide, so I know what I'm getting into. But I'm just saying, if you write like this, I don't necessarily think of LTC, like low turn count or efficiency or speedrun. But what I am thinking is I'm going to prioritize the best characters, the best statistics, the best bases, perhaps the best growths, the best stats overall, the best weapon types, that kind of stuff. I expect someone to be like, this character can use javelins or hand axes, or they can fly, so they're very useful for getting through very smoothly, very quickly. That's what I think of. For the sake of a complete guide, I'm reading on, there I will post data that no one will probably ever read about prices and I don't care stuff. Yeah, that's definitely what I look for in a guide. A little about my experience. I've played through the game 4 times. And one of those times I've gone overboard and played the creature campaign, CC. And with that creature campaign, I've maxed out all stats on all characters by gold farming Legdu ruins. Believe me when I tell you, I know how to do things efficiently. So this person knows how to grind. I don't know if that means that they're also good at getting you through the game smoothly, because, being able to farm resources in the post-game takes very different skill set than getting through the game smoothly. But, we can't judge it until we see it, right? Regarding spoilers, I will have no discretion in pointing out different things, so be prepared to be spoiled. Besides, most of the time, people read guides to obtain help on certain areas, or the whole game, so keeping the guide spoil-proof just prolongs my writing time. Who has time in the 21st century, huh? I don't agree with that sentiment. I think if you write a walkthrough, you should be able to, as a reader, to go, okay, I'm stuck in chapter 5, so I'm going to read out what this guy wrote about chapter 5, and I'm going to go on. And what I don't expect to read in chapter 5 is spoilers on what happens at the end of chapter 5, like maybe my main character is kidnapped or something. I don't expect to read about events from chapter 6, so the fact that this guy basically says I don't care about spoilers, and, you know, caring about spoilers would make me write longer, has me a little worried. It makes me go, maybe I don't want to read this guy, maybe I want to check out a different one, because this one might spoil me on something. He doesn't say he's going to spoil people on what happens in a certain chapter, but if I'm playing a game for the first time, I don't want to be spoiled at all. I don't want the author to decide for me that I'm going to get spoiled. I'm just going to go elsewhere. But some people are okay with getting spoiled, and that's fine. They can just read on. At least they know what to expect now, so at least I like that he gave a warning about that. And in a text-only guide like this, you can generally not spoiler tag things, like have like a black bar go over the spoilers that you can click if you want to read the spoilers. But personally, when I make like a walkthrough or a guide of some kind, I try to keep it very, very light on spoilers, because I know not everyone has the same preferences, and I think it's better to be safe than sorry. Now, Fire Emblem is a very open-ended game. There are 30-some characters to choose from to use. Usually you can only have 12 or so you can continually use. I shall try to remain as impartial as I can. My personal style is using as diverse a party as I can so I can tackle all kinds of situations. A lot of people think like this. They think of Fire Emblem as like a traditional RPG where you need something of everything. So they usually want like, they want to use all different weapon types from like swords to dark magic. They want to use all kinds of different classes. They don't want to promote two people into the same class. They don't want two generals. They don't want two wyvern riders. They don't want two paladins. They want to use different things. That's a pitfall, like flat out. You don't hear me say that very often, but that is a pitfall. Sometimes classes are just better than others, and some classes are just not worth getting. Sometimes a certain weapon type just isn't as good, or all the characters in a certain weapon type sucks. In this game, that's definitely the case. In Sacred Stones, for example, there's no reason to focus someone on using dark magic, because dark magic in general is not good enough to compensate for how bad the characters using it are. So that's a pitfall. Random paragraphs here. I realize it is 2009, so that's when he wrote this part at least, and the Game Boy Advance is old stuff. Therefore, not everyone is playing Fire Emblem while holding a plastic Nintendo device. I am aware of what technology can do these days, but my guide is based on 1x normal speed, with the load feature only available when you physically turn on the device and select resume chapter or restart chapter. So basically saying, I don't assume save states. So that implies that these strategies are safe. Makes sense, right? He's using characters that are, I guess, RNG proof, that will be able to survive without getting crit, stuff like that, I guess. Generally, you can play safe with almost any character, just some characters it takes longer than others. Thanks for checking out my guide. I'm sorry. Let's get to the opinion section. Alright, I got to the opinion section. I'm gonna read the introduction to it, just again, so you know his point of view, so you know what kind of, analysis we should expect. I wanted to include this section because there are so many ways to play this game, and I really wanted to express my opinion. However, the walkthrough isn't a good place because it needed to be fairly impartial. So from now on, he's not going to be impartial. He's going to include his bias, I guess. I thought he was going to be impartial for the whole thing, but my bad. Character analysis. There are a total of 33 units to select from to play within the normal game. If you choose to play all 33 equally, you will fail miserably and probably even have trouble getting far enough in the story to get all 33. Every game has different results for characters. Sometimes one stat doesn't grow as much as another time. My conclusions are from playing through the game 4 times. I will rate the characters out of 10 taking into account stat growth, flexibility, and how good they look. So does he take into the design, or is it like how good does it seem like they are? I'm not sure. Flexibility, I'm also not sure what it means. I'm knowing this guide a little bit, I know it's not just about how much movement they have or whether they can fly or stuff like that. I'm assuming it means like whether they can pull off both of their branch promotions, which is always a silly concept because generally the branch promotion and FE8 are like one option that's bad and one option that's good. Like the most flexible character in that regard would be like Garrick, because his promotion choice is the hardest in the game, since both of them have equal merits, whereas everything else is kind of like a blowout. So yeah, I don't know. The rating scale is a Likert. I've never read this before, but I'm sure it exists. The Likert scale out of 10. A 10 will be given to characters that excel in every situation and usually reserved for only one character in a class. So if there's 2 people within a class that are both really good at their thing, assuming their thing is like a specific niche, which doesn't really exist in this game, it's usually reserved for only one character within the class, but one of them will only get a 10 apparently. A score of 8 will mean that character is definitely good and worth using, but have more prominent weaknesses. A score of 5 means use at your own discretion, you need them fine. Anything below 4 just rates how unusable they are compared to each other. I'm sure you can figure out your own opinion on the rest of the scores. Okay, so anything below 4 means basically means they're unusable compared to each other. It doesn't even mean they're unusable. They're unusable. I can't figure it out. Also, in the weapons section, the weapons in parentheses are only available when promoted to a particular class. The weapons section is later on. In the stats part, I will display their growth rates, obtained legally, folks, and the caps for their final classes. All right, this is about the. Okay, I get what he's saying now, because this is all relevant for now. This is all relevant. Okay. Unique classes. Let's see. So what he's got here, let me just show what he's got overall. So we've got their name, their class, their rating, their weapon types, promotion, recommendation, recruitments, their stats, and then it's very notable from this guide, very telling in fact, that they have the growth rates and their caps, but not their bases, which shows what they're going to be emphasizing this guide. Because apparently these are the most important things about a character, not the stats that you are guaranteed to have when you start using that character, and that they will keep having until they get luck-based level ups of +1, maybe every level, and which will probably, yeah, you get what I mean, right? Like, I'm not saying growth don't matter, but if there's one thing you want to list here, I think it would be bases. Now, to be fair, these growth rates are not listed in the bases or in the game, so you wouldn't know them unless you are using a guide like this. So it is fair to include data that you cannot find in the game in a guide like this, and to add it to what you already know. And it's also fair to use the caps because you can see them in the game once you've hit them or once you're close to them, where you can kind of get an estimate when you look at the bars. You can kind of see where the stats are going to be capped at if you look closely. But at the same time, I think I would list the bases anyway because they're just so important, and I already know this guy doesn't think they're that important. Anyway, Erica gets an 8 out of 10. Unfortunately, list them at the top, so I'm gonna just have to read that and then check out the justification. So an 8 out of 10. That's very high. Like, let me just check how good that is, right? A score of 8 will mean the character is definitely good and worth using, but have more prominent weaknesses. Okay, so Erica has her weaknesses, but she's definitely good and worth using. All right, I can sort of see that. I don't agree with the rating, but I can see where it's coming from at least. Erica is a Myrmidon in disguise. The caps are exactly the same, except for that she has 2 more resistance. But Myrmidon is unpromoted, so it's Erica. So her unpromoted caps would be the same. So I guess she's talking about the promoted version, but that one has a horse, and that seems important. It will probably never hit 25 by itself, auto resistance. She does not have that 50% extra critical though. With growth so good, Erica will be up there. Yeah, see, the thing is, like, she has a horse. That's important. That's important, isn't it? I guess this section only talks about this part, but I mean, I guess movement isn't listed anywhere, but it still is. Okay. In the first 2 chapters, Erica will be your premier sword user. The sword users of a party will handle all axe users with ease and effectively wound other enemies as well. Downside to Erica and Ephraim is that they can't be promoted until chapter 16, which has them eating up experience once they hit 20. Oh god, the experience stealing. See, nowadays I have trouble getting Erica to 20. Or Ephraim, not as much, but Erica mostly, because she's just so bad at the mid game with their freaking 5 move, 1 range, and no promotion option, like I mentioned. Also, apparently the guy knows that she promotes, but it's just like, this is everything he wrote on Erica. There's just nothing about her having a horse. Like, the closest thing is that he names her promotion, and thank God he also gives us a recommendation for a promotion, because we need a recommendation. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for a character that's 5 move and move locked. This is going to be great, or sword locked, excuse me. Ephraim time. Ephraim, class lord, blah blah blah. I won't read this out every time, but he has an 8 out of 10, which, for your information, that's the same rating as Erica. In case you forgot, that's the exact same rating that Erica got. So they're equally good. The guy that uses lances is the same as the girl who uses swords. And like, I have nothing against girls, but I think, like, even the most players of this game, even the most casual ones, know that Ephraim is better in some way. So yeah. Okay. Imagine a knight, but with a little less defense and a whole lot of the rest. So don't imagine a knight at all, actually. Thank God for that save. Strength will easily hit the cap. Skill and speed will be high. Weakness, resistance, but isn't too big of a deal because of skill and speed. The cap total between Erica and Ephraim is astounding. Is it? I mean, total caps doesn't matter, but now I'm curious. 2,213 for Ephraim and 220 for Erica. Yeah, that is a little weird that they... Wait, oh, Erica's is better. Okay, alright. Usefulness. Same as a knight, like said already, but better. His Regin Leaf should be used sparingly against knights and cavaliers only. Once promoted, Ephraim on a horse is so much more useful. Oh, so Ephraim does get a horse, and Erica, we're just ignoring hers, but they still get the same rating. Lances are made for throwing, and equip Ephraim with throwables, and he'll be a 9-range killing machine. Wait. Lances are made for throwing, and equip Ephraim with throwables, and he'll be 9-range killing. This guy does know how good javelins are. Okay, maybe there's hope for this guy. Well, there probably isn't, because he already gave Ephraim and Erica the same rating of 8 out of 10, but hey. A guy can dream. Alright, Myrrh. Rating 6 out of 10. Myrrh starts with pretty basic stats. She levels up to 20 just like everyone else, having extraordinary growths. The Dragonstone she carries grants tremendous boosts to strength and skill and to her defenses. She will be at the top of your chart when she's level 20. I don't really get why this paragraph is here, and the next one talks about your usefulness. This seems relevant to your usefulness, so I don't know what the separation means. The stone only has 50 uses, so save your every attack that Myrrh does. Same with other characters, Myrrh doesn't come back to life once killed, even though she is a great dragon. She's a flyer, so watch out for bows. Also, watch out for enemies, because she can fly to them and kill them. As I played Creature Campaign, I usually went through 3 to 4 iron weapons for 1 Lactu Ruins for most of my used characters. Myrrh's 50 uses are totally daunted. I don't know what he means by daunted, he probably means I can't use her in the post game because when she runs out of weapons, she's shit out of luck, which is true. But, like, fuck. What? Is this such a big deal that she only gets a 6 out of 10 for the Creature Campaign of all things? Like, so a lot of people put so much emphasis on the Creature Campaign where all your character stats are capped. So all this crap, for example, the caps matter, but like all this crap about their growth doesn't even matter in Creature Campaign then, because you can just give them stat boosters and get them maxed out. And like Creature Campaign isn't even like particularly difficult, and like you can use anyone you want. You can use your bishops, like, and like if you're mostly talking about the main game, which I think you should be, because the main game has, you know, the meat of the content. Lactu Ruins is pretty boring, and you have to play the whole game to get to the thing. So I don't get why that's so important. And then the 50 uses that Myrrh gets, it's pretty hard to run them out in the main game unless you play very slowly. And even if you do, like, it's still 50 really good attacks. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually don't think 6 out of 10 is too bad for Myrrh when you compare it to like her tier list rating, which, you know, I usually put her like mid to low tier for most of these. But that's because the tier list is like very different standards. The point is, this is a shit rating. Seth, 8 out of 10. Now, this is actually a lot better than I expected this guy to be, considering, you know, he was talking about eating XP earlier. But what kind of character is going to have a higher rating than 8 out of 10? If Seth is a character who, I remind you, and I'm going to remind myself as well, I'm pretty sure it said a good character that has their weaknesses. What is Seth's weakness in this game? Is it like desert terrain? Let's find out. Great stats at the start, right? Great growth rate for stats, right? Seth will turn out good for sure. He will turn out good, he won't just start good. Even though you don't get to play his youth days as a Cavalier, his 19 level gains are still fun. There are no stats that stick out, but everything is balanced. He will max out stats. He will max out stats. Sure will. He will. There are no stats that stick out, just, you know, like 12 base speed or something, whereas everyone else has like 6 or 7, like 30 plus HP. He takes like 3 damage from most enemies. He has a silver lance. He has the javelin. Lances are made for throwing and killing things. He does that all game long. Usefulness. At first, unequip Seth so he cannot attack. Oh, that's right. That's why he's not too good. You unequipped him. That explains the 8 out of 10. Okay. He makes a great damage absorber and bait unit. Once your other characters catch up to Seth, he can join your party in combating enemies. Seth is usually my paladin guy. Great rescue, reliable combat, high movement, very versatile. 8 out of 10. Fuck everything about this. Holy shit. What a great... Like, if... I always find it so circular how people argue, like, okay, the way you would... So, they want to hold Seth back, and these other Jaegers, they want to hold him back. They say, okay, you could use him to destroy everything, but that would be bad. Like, it's really, like, destroying everything is, like, really good, but doing it would be really bad. So, here's a better way to use this character. And now I'm going to give him a lower rating, because he is not destroying anything anymore. Because he's using my method, which I said is better. So, like, normally he'd be like a 10 out of 10, but because I suggested a better method of using him, he's now 8 out of 10. Because this method is better. You know, Like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Alright, Franz. 7 out of 10. Just a Cavalier that really has no weaknesses. Well, except that is the weakness. Franz does not excel anywhere. He can sometimes even turn out below par. Take a chance, use Franz. If he's level 12 and his stats are well below most characters, I would quit and switch to another Cavalier. Well, good luck, because you're probably going to end up with 4, and that's going to be the real disappointment. This is the mentality that I also see a lot, where people are like, you know what, this character is like, his stats are kind of even, so they're probably likely to get RNG screwed. But really, Franz's stats aren't just like average, like his strength and speed are just good. They're just good. I mean, you can't really tell by this because it just lists the growth rates and not the stats, like the base stats. But yeah, Franz just has good stats. His stats are better than most people's in pretty much every area. Not resistance, actually. I'm surprised he didn't rip on that. Usefulness. Franz makes a good Great Knight. That's wrong. With high HP and good speed, Franz will tear armor units up. Any knights, generals, paladins will fall from Franz's 3 arms. Ooh, that's a creepy idea. Speaking of weapons, I made Franz obtain an S rank for axes, so it would have 2 S rank axe characters. That's great. That's really good, because you only have 1 Garm. So that lets you trade the Garm between them. That's great. I can tell this guy like equipped him with like hammers or something, or like horse slayers or something. That's stupid. Actually, it's not stupid. It's pretty good, because it's like triple effectiveness in FEA, but like Franz is just like, Franz is good because he can handle almost any enemy. That's what makes him so good. He's not bad against any particular enemy. Like, fuck. I hate this. Gilliam has a 1 out of 10. So, not just like, you know what people love Oswin? Because even though he's slow, he's like super tanky and he can kill everything. And, you know, people love using him. Like, this guy is much worse, apparently. Like, so much worse. I believe I gag every time I look at Gilliam's speed. It's not just like I think I gag, or like I gag every time. It's just like I think I gag. That, on top of the usual knight low resistance, magic users will destroy Gilliam. I always find the sentiment funny, because it implies he's getting doubled by mages, which he usually doesn't. Unless it's like a promoted stage, he's not getting doubled. And that's like if he's under-leveled or something. Oh yeah, his strength and defense is good, but he has a lot of hit points. But so does Ephraim if you wait a little. He's usually unlucky too. It's like saying he usually turns out according to his averages. It was like, when I flip a coin, it usually ends up like heads. Or tails. One of those two, usually. Like, what? So in conclusion, his speed ruins the character and his good stats are not unique. Ephraim, Amelia, Cormac, and Garrick. Apparently those all have stats in some area that is also good on Gilliam. And that's, for some reason, that makes Gilliam's leads less interesting or less good. Usefulness. I have never found a use for Gilliam. With Ephraim using a lance, Seth, Ford, Cal, and Franz using a lance, Vanessa and Tana and Amelia, why bother having another lance user? Making Gilliam a Great Knight and giving him more movement, maybe, but Cal and Franz make much better Great Knights. The point is, I like how he's recommending General, by the way, which is just the worst Great Knight overall. But the point is as long as Gilliam is best as a Great Knight, it doesn't matter how many other Great Knights you have. And maybe if you're making Gilliam a Great Knight and you really want different people to be something else, then make different people something else, because Great Knight is Gilliam's best option. This logic is so backwards, and it's definitely typical for 2009. Competition argument, it's also the reason that people go like, you should make Amelia a general, because, or you should make Amelia a general, because if you make her a paladin, you already have a lot of paladins. Doesn't matter what Amelia wants to be. The point is, I already have a paladin, and paladins do very different things from generals, right? Alright, Vanessa time. Rating 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 for a unit that joins in Chapter 2 with one of the best classes in the game. Alright, let's see this one. Not an overpowering character, but you can give power to a unit with such magnificent movement abilities. Or can you? Her physical capabilities are poop. Any and literally any axe user will be a threat to her. Like usual Pegasus Knights, her speed and skill is good, but sometimes skill really plummets, which is something Vanessa can't have. So her skill is really good, but sometimes it plummets. This guy probably turned on like negative growth halfway through. Vanessa can't afford to miss a 9 damage attack, nor take a 9 damage attack. Well, she has, I don't know if he knows, but she joins with like 18 HP, so she can actually take 1. If she gets like 1 more level up, she can take 2. Just a free fact. Usefulness. The only time I've used Vanessa is for utility reasons. That explains it. He only used her once. Her replacement Tana comes in soon, so I never bothered with leveling her up. Yeah, Tana, that girl that joins in Chapter 9, or an Ephraim route, basically joins at the end of Chapter 9. She's much better, I agree. Molder, rating 6 out of 10. Once again, this is a character that joins very early with like very easy utility. This character doesn't really stand out. He's really brown. Wow, this guy doesn't like Indians apparently. But since he doesn't really excel in anything, there's nothing to lose using him. Okay. Yeah. As with most magic castors, Molder has good resistance. The time I used him, his skill was surprisingly high, which makes him a great sage. One thing that really sticks out is Molder's high constitution. Oh, he's put on a few pounds, but this means he can use high-grade light tomes really well. Light tomes are heavier than anima, and Molder handles them with ease. Also, he can use Elfire. This used to be like a good argument for using Molder. It used to be. Emphasis used to be. Anyway, just make him a bishop, guys. Make him a bishop. Slayer is good. I've never found a consistent use for Molder. He will be a good bishop, but Natasha is a better one. So then, what does it matter? Just if you're using Molder, you're probably not using Natasha. If you are, you're just fine using 2 bishops. I've tried using Molder as a sage, but his magic was completely overshadowed by Lute's power. Yeah, and that doesn't happen when he turns into a bishop, right? I mean, the recommendation is sage, so... The logic, it's just baffling how people go like, okay, someone else is that class, okay, hands off. People joke about this whenever someone's streaming and you go like, you know what? I don't really want to use this character because, you know, I already have someone of that class. We kind of say jokingly, it's like, using 2 of the same class? Can't do that. Here's the police. And this guy literally says it, basically. He's like, okay, I turned him into a sage, but then Lute was suddenly stronger. And that somehow makes the sage promotion worse. People go to this guy for advice. It's the worst part, or they used to at least. I'm hoping people in general know better now. Alright, are you ready for Ross, the waifu Ross? 10 out of 10 for Ross. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. So like, if you combine Molder's rating with Vanessa's rating, you get Ross's rating. One of the best characters. His strength will tear apart anything at every stage. Every stage, even like at the Trading Man stage. And with his high speed, like I'm not even looking at the base here, I'm just saying high speed. Ross will double hit always. He suffers in defense and skill at the start, but is remedied when he reaches his final class. Why? Well, he has 47 levels to gain versus everyone's 38. Just check out my Ross waifu video. I'm not gonna debunk all of this. Yeah, his skill and speed are not that good. I will say this guy has played at least once on normal mode. I think his walkthrough was based on normal mode, which I think he played at least once, probably like at least 2 or 3 times. He talks about hard mode a little, but I get the sense he hasn't really played it. Ross does not always double hit. He might get doubled sometimes. Powerhouse character, but in the beginning, watch his health because he gets hit easily and has pretty low defense. Later in the game, Ross's bow skills become invaluable. Only 5 characters in the game can use bows. Inez, Naomi, Ross, Garcia, someone I'm forgetting. Garrick. I made Ross a warrior. Why? With so much power, a bow will be devastating. Yeah. There isn't enough opportunities to take advantage of the Berserker's water walking abilities, and the critical hit bonus is overkill because Ross usually kills everything in 1-2 hits anyway. Hero caps don't fit Ross at all, low strength and high skill. But he needs speed, my guy. He needs help doubling. The guy is slow. Even with +2 speed from Hero or Berserker, there's so many things Ross doesn't double in hard mode. Maybe it's different on normal mode, but honestly, if it's normal mode, you're probably killing everything in 2 hits anyway. But why is it so important that he uses bows? Let's limit his enemy phase. Let's make sure he doesn't kill enemies on enemy phase by using bows. I love it. Excellent. Alright, Garcia, who, by the way, is also recommended as a warrior. But Garcia's only a 5 out of 10. He's twice as bad as Ross, even though he starts out better and ends up about the same. The stats of Garcia are typical of any fighter. Bad defense, 25%. 25%? Okay, just getting that shit straight. High HP and strength. There really is not need for that kind of mediocrity in the game. Who else has good attack? Ephraim, Ross, Garrick, Franz, Kyle, Seth, etc. Fighters usually suffer in speed and always have no resistance. Yeah, again, other people have good strength, so a character with good strength, we don't really need that anymore. There are 2 other characters that make a good warrior and a good hero. I use Garcia to hold extra items when my supply is full. Leveling up 2 warriors heroes is costly in time, but if you want to use Garcia, who is a typical warrior, go for it. Yeah, this is the typical, you know, making characters use things that fit their stats somehow, as if that's important, whereas you should really just look at what makes the characters the best possible unit. But again, the Ross waifu talks about this very elaborately. Naomi, class archer, rating 8 out of 10. Great skill and speed. Lower defenses as expected, but actually not bad strength. Naomi usually has the highest avoid of all your characters. Yeah, usually. I use Naomi a lot when she's a ranger. Her movement allows me to pick off stranglers, and enemies in certain areas. There are 2 bow persons in this game, and since one of them is already a sniper, get a ranger, because Garrick sure isn't going to be a ranger. Alright, we got that one out of the way. Yeah, like, do we need to elaborate here on why a bow is bad in the GBA Fire Emblem? And like, that isn't Fire Emblem 6? No? Okay. The emphasis on growth is so gross here. So gross. Colm, rating 8 out of 10. Well, this isn't going to be high. It's a thief. Colm's speed is ridiculous, maxing it out even before level 20. Luck is pretty good too, and Colm has one of the best avoids. Usefulness. Promote Colm to a rogue because you will get so much more out of him that way. Colm will be your primary treasure getter in maps, and he can hold his own even against Cavaliers and Knights. Also, Colm is better than Vanak. Yeah, like Colm's promotion is like the least important one in the game. His promotion split. It really doesn't matter what you make him, because there's not enough luck picks. Like there's not enough lucks to use like always luck picks. I feel like in the game, as long as you like ignore the ones that don't matter, like the ones in his joining chapter. So fuck, who gives a shit, right? What? You can hold his own against Cavaliers and Knights, like maybe with a Lance Reaver. I don't know. Like, fuck training Colm, man. It just isn't worth it. It's like, why would you train a thief when they run off to get treasure and then they don't fight? Like, they can fight on the way to the treasure, I guess, sometimes, but generally it's not worth it because their strength is garbage. But if you only look at the growth, you might think his strength is good. But like, even the cap is bad. Like, he doesn't gain his 20 strength cap. It's the same as unpromoted Colm. It's so fucking garbage. Archer, rating 8 out of 10. Archer has magnificent offensive stats, great strength, not magic, skill and speed, and resistance, the usual stat that comes for spellcasters. However, his super low defense chews away my brain every time. It's almost intolerable. It's probably about as good as Naomi's. Now, luck is also appalling. Goddess statues will definitely be worthwhile. This is an okay advice actually, because his luck is at the point where you have like he's like low percent crits against him a lot, so those can be fixed with goddess icons sometimes, but you don't really get a whole lot of them. Usefulness. Despite the super low defense and luck, Artur is a great character. He will take care of himself. The Bishop promotion greatly enhances Artur's combat action. You will be using the Slayer ability often, and the resistance cap can finally make Artur invulnerable to magic. I mean, considering how bad everything else was, this is almost an okay way to like talk about him. I guess he is the best Bishop. Sure, whatever. Like, I like how he doesn't even talk about the Sage option. He's just like, no, loot will be better. Speaking of which, let's get to loot. Alright, loot time. Her rating is, of course, an easy 9 out of 10. Just a reminder, Vanessa got a 4, Franz got a 7, Seth got an 8. Magic is huge with loot. With good stats everywhere, elsewhere, except defense and HP, loot will be a great character. Yeah, like, good stats, like that 40% resistance and that 30% skill, and I'm not even mentioning her bases, of course. When you think spellcaster, you will think loot. If you attack selectively at low resistance enemies, loot easily wins. Enemies that might cause trouble are shamans and bosses. Use loot definitely to trisel away at a boss, but her low HP and defense means you have to watch her carefully. That sounds like a drawback to me. That sounds like something you don't want on a character that's like supposed to have almost no weaknesses. Because remember, 8 out of 10 means you're good but you have weaknesses. But 9 or 10, they're very flexible. They can do almost anything. But apparently having to be protected by everything is fine. That doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm glad we got that established. Also doesn't even talk about her promotion options. We know he would have mentioned like her high magic cap for Sage, which is completely irrelevant. Mage Knight is the better option. But okay. Natasha, class cleric, rating 8 out of 10. This is as good as Seth. Low HP and defense plague spellcasters, and Natasha is no exception. Her speed, resistance, and luck are extraordinarily high. Skill takes a hit, and her magic isn't too bad. You will have her healing 25s with a heal staff in no time. I looked this up actually, and I'm pretty sure the heal staff heals like 10 plus your magic. So a base, for example, she heals like 12. Healing 25s, which is apparently like some kind of benchmark that she should be proud of, requires about 50 magic, and she doesn't get that until he's promoted after 20 levels. Whether you do those before or after promotion doesn't matter. But basically you need like 20 level ups and a promotion for her to get that far. That's a pretty far way into the game, even if you're playing slowly. Like, especially with Natasha. Like, I don't think people realize Just how fucking bad Natasha's level is. It's like level 1 in chapter 5. It takes forever to move up because you only get like 11 for heal and 12 for men in this game. Mulder or Natasha? Mulder for boring reliability or Natasha for excitability? Yes, that's what I'm looking for in my healers. Excitability. I get excited every time when one gets attacked because they might not survive. Eventually, Natasha as a bishop neutrals out and her low HP becomes a steady 40. That also takes forever, I'm pretty sure. Like, it takes forever to get 40 HP with her. I know because I looked at her base stats once. And her skill catches up. Along with having a powerful magic attack, Natasha can use high-grade stabs to help allies. Yeah, with that, like, she has like a D staff rank at base or something. Yeah, that's gonna go up real quick. I don't know what the fuck this guy was doing. Okay. Yeah, I like how he mentions Bishop and not Slayer too. That's a great argument because like otherwise Valkyrie is like infinitely better thanks to the horse. Boring reliability or excitability. I don't know what that means. I guess the fact that Natasha has like a better magic growth, whereas Mulder has a higher base. Apparently that's exciting. I have no idea why this guy is saying this. Joshua, rating 10 out of 10. So this character has no weaknesses. He has no flaws, even though javelins are made for throwing. So he has no 1 to range. But apparently that doesn't matter. Joshua is crazy good. His HP is superb. His strength is fantastic for a Myrmidon. It's not fantastic in general. It's just good for a Myrmidon. And his skill and speed are ridiculous. Oh, also, like 35% is apparently fantastic. His luck could be high or it could be low. It depends on luck. Sure does. It sure does. Like, really, that's like, it could be high, it could be low. Depends on luck. Why a 10 and not a 9? Well, Joshua's mediocre defense and resistance can be negated because he dodges so much. Yeah. Sure, he is pretty dodgy, but, you know, I would like, isn't this supposed to be about, like, versatility and, like, being good and, like, getting through the game quickly? Which will, like, amount, flight, 1 to range, those kind of things help you get through things a lot. Like, just dodging a lot doesn't really get us anywhere. I have played Joshua as an assassin and a swordmaster, the latter being a bit better for him. That sounds like personal experience to me. Strength cap is 4 higher. It's still trash, by the way. It's still trash. Like, 24 is not a high strength cap, and the defenses are better. He's never going to hit his defense caps. Joshua becomes pretty untouchable with his high speed and good luck. Actually, his luck could be high or it could be low. It depends on luck. You'll be seeing lots of criticals, even with iron swords. This is sort of true, but only if you make him a swordmaster. I do agree that swordmaster's the best, but fuck this rating. Kyle, 8 out of 10. Same as Seth, even though he's worse in every single stat, every single point of the game. Kyle does a lot of damage. His strength growth is amazing, along with defense. Skill and speed seem to lack a lot of growth, so you might struggle a bit there until you get later in the game. The one thing that is infuriating is his resistance. Appalling. Disgusting, some would say. Skill and speed seem to lack a lot of growth. 40%. 30%. I'm just saying. I don't write the rules. I don't make the rules. I'm just saying there's a little bit of inconsistency here. Kyle would receive a better score if Franz was non-existent. But since Franz also makes a great knight, do you really want to use 2? No, but not because of what you're thinking. Until later in the game, Kyle would sometimes struggle to do a double hit. Times 1, 17 damage with 86 hit, or times 2, 11 damage with 97 hit. Wow, these are numbers. He's actually backing his statements up with numbers. If only I knew where he pulled these from. Once Kyle reaches the threshold of double hitting, he will be quite powerful. Ultimately, Kyle makes a better Great Knight than Franz because his speed cap is 24, which Franz easily surpasses. Well, then make Franz a fucking paladin. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Ford, rating 7 out of 10. Well, at least he rated him worse than some other characters. But, you know, he's still 3 points high for Vanessa, which still hurts a little bit. I fucking hate Ford, by the way. The converse of Kyle. Ford has better skill and speed by a massive 5% and poorer strength. Something I did not expect for a Cavalier, but rather for a swordsman. Your expectations don't matter. If it works for Ford or if it works for your character, that's all you need. But if you wish to play a sword user in a Cavalier body, go for it. You know what I expect of a sword user? That they're actually fast enough to double. But Ford doesn't. However, Ford usually has decent defense and better resistance than Kyle. Still low though. Now with Seth, Franz, and Dusal available, Ford and or Kyle seem superfluous. Kyle is Franz but stronger. Ford is very similar to Franz. Ford versus Franz. I'm so confused. Statistically, Ford is better. No. But sometimes Franz comes out with better stats. Yeah, it can be high or low. It depends on luck. Also, Ford comes much later in the game than Franz, but nothing the Volney Tower can't fix. Yeah, so we're grinding now. We're grinding to make Ford come out with better stats than Franz. But sometimes Franz comes out with better stats. It's just... I feel like reading the old Fire Emblem Wiki Lin entry now, because it's less confusing. Tana, rating 9 out of 10. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm not okay, but I'm okay with the idea of like Tana being like better than Vanessa because people like the higher strength growth a little bit. But 9 out of 10 compared to 4 out of 10? Like, don't get me wrong, I think that's still stupid. It's still wrong. But I can understand where it's coming from. This is just insane how much of a difference this is. Tana's stats are great. Everything is pretty much high, with speed being maxed out first. The only thing slightly wrong is the lower end HP. Yeah, that's really the only thing that's wrong with Tana. There's nothing wrong at all with everything else. Like, everything else is fine. Everything else is fine. Like, if you want a good flyer, Tana would be the one to use over Vanessa. Promote her to a Wyvern Rider or Wyvern Knight because that's the skill Pierce. Tana will usually max out strength and speed, which is perfect for her class. It's perfect for everyone, in fact. Pierce depends on character level, not skill, which she usually doesn't max. Well, even if she didn't max it, her skill is pretty good. Like, the emphasis on maxing stats is so annoying and dumb and unnecessary. Like, you're only gonna start hitting caps like near the end of the game and in creature campaign, but in creature campaign you can buy stat boosters, so it doesn't even matter anymore if you're likely to hit a cap or not. I get that pretty green numbers can be pretty, but fuck. Like, for people who like growth a lot, they sure enjoy capping out their stats. Yeah. Everything in here is ridiculous. I do agree Pierce is pretty good though, and like there's no reason to go Falcon Knight. Like, at least you got the promo path right this one. Alright, here we go. Here's what you were waiting for. Amelia, rating 10 out of 10. Recommendation, general. Perfect, perfect. One of those 3-tiered characters. As you know with Ross, these characters turn out to be really good. Everything about Amelia is superb. She usually has 20 plus luck when at the end of her 2nd tier. Yeah, that's really how I judge my characters, is how much luck they have at the end of their 2nd tier. Although sometimes you can get unlucky with strength and get a weaker Amelia, but still definitely worth using. Personally, I hate Gilliam for his 0 speed and 0 resistance. Wow, this guy really is playing negative growth. So I naturally have no general. Amelia will dominate as a general, with high skill, speed and luck, which usually generals don't have. I usually give Amelia the Swift Souls to further increase her deadliness. What a fucking terrible idea. Give it to someone who has an actual move stat. Like, do I have to go over this again? This is not a battle I was expecting to face again today. Why would you make her a general instead of a great knight? Just why? Like, I get over paladin. I don't, but I get it. Like, you want the extra weapon type, or like, if he just said if he said here, like, I go with a general because I like it the best because it's fun, or because I love the idea of a little girl in a general suit killing everything, or I like the design the best, I would have no problems with this. But again, this is a guide about getting through the game smoothly, picking the best possible stats, the best possible characters. Yet he picks to use the... Yeah, the caps are higher, but who cares? She's not going to hit those for almost all of the game. And then it has the least amount of movement, and the other stats, just doesn't matter at all. Fuck off. And like the Swift Souls, like, okay, what about the cap chapters before the Swift Souls? Like, does the movement not matter there? And like, if you're okay with giving her the Swift Souls, then wouldn't you want a 10 move paladin? Like, remember when Ephraim was supposed to have a javelin because lances are made for throwing, right? Which I agree with, actually. It's a pretty funny saying. And he had to talk about like how good a 9 move javeliner is. That was great. But now that we're using Amelia, like, suddenly we want to reduce that movement to 5. Get the fuck out of here. All right, here's Dusel, who, by the way, has like way too many weaknesses apparently, because his rating is a 2 out of 10. Really bad. You have 4 mounted lance users already. Why have another below par character? His resistance is terrible. Yeah, it's 20%, which is horrible. Whereas Tana's, for example, her resistance was 25, which is great. That stats are great. Everything is pretty much high with speed being maxed out. The only thing wrong with her is lower end HP. But yeah, this resistance, we can't just stand for that. Damn, if only Dusel had like base stats that could compensate for this. Fuck, this is bad. Franz and Kyle make better Great Knights. If you haven't used Franz or Kyle or haven't made them into Great Knights, this will be your only Great Knight character. Yeah, it's not like you can promote Gilliam or Amelia or Ford to a Great Knight, because you shouldn't be using any of those at all, because they're all bad. Cormag, rating 10 out of 10. Great stats, Cormac. Your resistance is really poor though. Strength is always maxed out, speed is pushing the limit, and defense is great, but not maxed. Yeah, this is great. HP is where Cormac really grabs your attention, almost 60 every time. Again, I love how this guy bases it based on like his playthroughs. His lower than average dodge is remedied by his high movement range. Yeah, wow, I agree. Movement range can really compensate for those kind of things. We should apply that logic elsewhere. This is your only character aside from Secret that you can promote to a Wyvern Lord. Wyvern Knights are just so much more powerful though. Pierce is a tremendously useful skill. Pre-secret characters, be careful while using both Tana and Cormac because you only have one Feely Shield. Cormac is great against all enemies, and if anyone wants to use Reavers, it's Cormac, so he can tackle a Cyclops in 3 hits. I love this specific situation he encountered like a couple times. He's gonna be like, okay, this is just something I can use for a very general guide that's like 5 sentences long. Much agreed. I will say props for not saying you should go Wyvern Lord because no one else can go Wyvern Lord, whereas you already have Wyvern Knights in Vanessa and Tana. Props because it's good here. Slops because he should be applying that logic to everything and not just whenever he feels like it. Like, wouldn't you want a guy to be consistent? But fuck. Inez, rating 7 out of 10. Like 5 points above Dussel. Same rating as Franz. Nothing that stands out as great and nothing as poor. Great avoid. Yeah, this is some fantastic avoid. It's like Joshua level right here. Usefulness. A good bow user if you need one. Maybe will be a ranger and Gas Garcia will have a bow. It's always a plus to have another bow user when fighting 10 Draco zombies. Oh yeah, I remember that being the only chapter in the game. And I remember that those were very common enemies in the whole game. You probably want to give Inez some stat boosters before fighting such powerful enemies. Yeah, you probably do, because yeah, you probably want to like, or you could level him up with his good growth. That could also work. His stats aren't actually that bad. Like, at this point, I don't even need to comment on how bad this is. This is so stupid. I'm sorry, I was going to give constructive criticism. Like, again, if you wrote this somehow, I'm very sorry, but your guide is very bad and gives bad advice. Fuck. Like, bows are not good in GBA, especially not in a game where you fight a lot of enemy phase and like you have to route maps and stuff. It's very bad, actually, to be locked to bows. Like, Inez's bases are great, but if you're not going to talk about those, then your guide is basically just ignoring what makes the character good. Garrick, rating 10 out of 10. I was waiting for another perfect character. That's the same rating as Amelia, guys. So that means he must be good, right? Superb in every way. Even HP, which will hit 60. His resistance is not very good, but better than Cormac's. Wait, hold up a second. Oh, it is better than Cormac's by a whole 5 points in his growth. Alright, good enough. Though his growth seems behind par, look at his initial stats. It more than makes up for a mere 10% weight. Bases do exist, but only for Garrick. Why is it that people only notice bases when it's like Garrick, but not any other character? Like, I swear, a lot of people who play Sacred Stones love Garrick because they just realize how good he is at bases and don't really look at his growths. Why? Garrick will dominate as a hero. No physical attacks will harm Garrick, and if it does hit him, it will only do 8 out of 60 hit points. Oh yeah, I remember when Garrick had 60 base hit points. Garrick is vulnerable to magic attacks, so put a leash on him. The worst is Stone, in my opinion. That isn't even a spell that does damage. That is bad for everyone. That's gonna, like, that one is based on speed, like whether it's gonna hit you or not. It's basically a status effect. I usually give Garrick a rank of swords because I need a hard-hitting sword user. Yeah, you sure do if you rely on fucking Joshua. Deathis, rating 5 out of 10. Wow, he's like right in between. Like, if on one hand of the scale you have like Chaz and Blazing Knight, and the other hand of the scale you have like me and like people who know what they're doing, and he's like right in between. This character has the worst stats in the whole game, but look at the weird growths. She is definitely resistant to word magic and a good dodger when you use her a lot. I guess this part is just about the stats, because there's no way that this talks about Tethys at all. I'm sure you know what Tethys does. Yeah, that's why I'm reading this guide. The question is, would you want a character that gives its turn to another, or a character that attacks? If you find that you are using all your good characters and are forced to use a mediocre untrained character, bring Tethys instead. But she is slow. 5 movement spaces, yeah. Damn, I really hate units that only have 5 move. I try to avoid those whenever I can. Except when it's Amelia. Then in that case we should make her a general. Just use the Swift Souls on her if you hate 5 movement. That solves the problem, right? Anyway, I'm not gonna go into a dancer rant because we're already at like 50 minutes, but holy goddamn. Back-ass logic. I always lose my shit when reading this guide. I start out like, man, let's have some fun, read a fun guide, make fun of it a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just angry reading this. It's so bad. Marissa, 9 out of 10. This character is better than Seth, even though I don't think any of her stats are higher than Seth's ever in the game. Like, if they joined in the same chapter, Seth would kick her ass in every single category except maybe speed. But she joins, let's see, chapter 12, I think? About 15, 12 maps later? God, I mean, I guess there's always the Tower of Valny. A typical sword user stats. Low strength coupled with high skill and high speed. Low defense and resistance, but somehow Marissa pulls through and becomes a great character. Again, great avoid stat makes the low defense and resistance less of a worry. Again, I remind you, Erica, the character with the same stat build that joins, again, 12, 13 maps earlier, gets 1 point lower than Marissa. The assassin class suits Marissa great. Skill and speed are maxed with strength just grazing the cap. Yeah, I love grazing this 20 stat cap right here. With lower strength than Joshua, you would think having that 50% extra critical would help. It does, but I want an assassin. Alright, this guide is no longer about advice. This guide is about what I want. I want an assassin. A silencer goes hand in hand with Marissa's high skill and luck. Yeah, I mean, in some universe it actually makes sense to have Assassin Marissa, because even a crit from her sometimes doesn't kill enemies. So you might as well just rely on Silencer to get your kills. But holy fuck, why? He joined so late. He's so bad. So bad. Alright, La Rochelle, 9 out of 10. Why not? I usually don't pay attention to La Rochelle's stats until right before I promote her. That's good, because then they're really fucking bad. But wow, she's a really good character. Maxing strength, speed, luck, and resistance with good skill too usually. Defense is poor, but it's expected, as is HP, yeah. It always helps when you just expect bad stats of a character, then you don't have to care about the opportunities. Like, 8 out of 10 means this character is good, but they have some weaknesses. 9 out of 10 probably means they're close to having no weaknesses. So apparently La Rochelle just has like no weaknesses. This is your only opportunity to get a mounted light user. Yeah, I remember the one that was important. Selena, the secret character, gets you a Mage Knight. It's tough leveling both Natasha, Mulder, and La Rochelle to 20, but it's definitely worth it. Practically, you should choose the promotion that equals how many light and anima users you have. Oh, right, you should balance them out. Yeah, okay, I get it. Okay, so it depends on what your other characters have become, what's best for La Rochelle. Got it, okay. Dazla, 2 out of 10. His strength is good and his HP is good. Everything else is bad. Yeah, like, I know this guy doesn't care about bases, so let me just highlight like 40%. That's bad apparently. He's a pre-promoted character with average stat growth rates and terrible starting stats. Oh, now they matter, terrible starting stats, but the fact that he has like 40 base HP or something, that doesn't matter? Okay. For me, Dazla is my only Berserker, yeah, because you put Ras in Warrior, the class that puts him in the lowest speed. But that still doesn't mean he should be used. The caps for Berserkers are amazing, but Dazla comes nowhere near. Damn, just give him some stat boosters, it'll be fine. If you pump him full of stat items, see, he'll be good, because the Berserker class is good, yeah. This is some great ass logic. Yeah. You can tell he's never used Dazla, basically. Saleh, 6 out of 10. Average stats everywhere. He doesn't really excel anywhere. Opposite of Dazla, he has extremely good starting stats, but they don't grow anywhere. He'll be subpar when your other characters outlevel him. Yeah, but you don't have to level him. That's really good. I found no use for Saleh. Loot is clearly the better sage, and I have bishops as well. Yeah. What? Wow. Like, imagine that. You get a character for free that one-rounds every enemy in his joining chapter, and then he stays that good for most of the game, pretty much all the game, and he can also use staves. And you're like, no, I found no use for this guy. Ewan, rating 10 out of 10. Prepare the trainee hype train, guys. Great stats on this character. Just great stats. Just excellent, really good. Strength is super high, along with skill, luck, and resistance. He has some lower stats like defense, speed, and HP, but it really doesn't matter because they catch up endgame, which is when you have most of the game left anyway, right? If you play backwards. Ewan is your druid. There is no other logical pathway for him. Dark magic will allow Ewan to attack with tremendous power and double hit every time. Because that's what dark magic does. It double hits every time. They used Metis' tome on him, so things got even more out of hand. The summoner path is available, but apparently Knowles and Leon's summons are better, and the cap doesn't give Ewan justice. I didn't read through this part beforehand, but they always talk about this whenever they talk about summoners. What matters most apparently is how good the summons are at fighting. These guys have 1 HP. They have one purpose, and it's dying. Over and over, preferably. That's the only purpose of a summon. They're not meant to go on a solo mission and kill the boss or anything. Their stats don't matter at all. But every time Ewan as a summoner is even brought up, it's like, Noel and Leon, you know, the character that you get literally as the game is completely over. Like, this is the last thing you do when you unlock Sacred Stones, when you play Sacred Stones. You play the Lagdu Ruins for the 3rd time, I think it is. And then you're done with everything. At that point, you're probably done the tower into the ruins. You've unlocked every character. You've beaten every enemy. Beaten every chapter. And you get Leon. But the fact that his summons are better, not just that the character is better, but the summons are better, just makes this path not viable. It doesn't give Ewan justice. The cap. Yeah, because those caps are very different, right? Like the 2 lower magic cap that I can see. And the 1 lower skill cap is also very relevant. Yeah. Renak, 4 out of 10. Not a good character. Utility use only, but I usually have Colm as my rogue. Renak has high speed, but only occasionally maxing it. The only situation where I found a use for Renak is on the dual chest tower of Volume map. Colm got one, Renak got the other. Other than that, have Renak be an extra item holder. This guy buys so much shit. This guy buys too much shit. His convoy just gets filled up way too much. Anyway, chest keys, my guy. Noel, rating 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. So that's like around last level. Okay, I can see it probably. A very one-sided character. Every stat starts out low. How do you know that? You don't list bases. Up to 15. His growth rates are terrible too. Like his magic growth and his skill growth and his resistance growth. His resistance is usually good, and strength is okay too. Okay, never mind. His growth rates are terrible apparently, but these are good, I guess. The only use for Noel is a summoner. Let him stay away from enemies always. Noel can die to a brigand with his bad luck, defense, and speed. Noel will be pretty fun to play with once you item max all his characters because the summoner class is a powerful class, but it doesn't do the caps justice. Strictly anti-magic character though. No, you summon things and you bait dangerous enemies. That's the whole purpose of the character. You almost got it right too. This is the most correct paragraph so far. I don't know why, but this guy just gets worse as it goes along. I don't know how they always do that. Cyrene, rating 5 out of 10. Nothing top grade. She has good skill and speed with decent resistance. The only problem is that she is pre-promoted. Yeah, that's the only problem with Cyrene, is that she starts pre-promoted. Like, she would be much better if we also had to use an Elysium Whip on her. Her initial stats are not super high, so we only have 19 levels of her good growth rates. Oh, so now these are good. I bet they're not even that different from Noel's, but whatever. If there is no Tana and she came earlier in the game, like Seth, then I would think Cyrene would have been an excellent character. But since it's so late in the game, and she doesn't have any powerful stats, Cyrene isn't used much. Whatever, you can have this one. So I'm not gonna go over the secret characters because I mean he doesn't even give him a rating, and like fuck these, like who cares? Let me just take a quick look at the weapons parts, because that part has a funny bit as well. Weapon analysis. This section will be a mass jumble of text. Well, that's going to be very different, I'm sure. I will speak about every single weapon briefly and express my opinion on it. I have set up a mathematical paradigm to calculate how effective each weapon is. I have factored in damage, critical chance, hit chance, weight, and durability so far. I realize that as characters become more and more powerful, the hit percentage chance becomes obsolete because even a 60% to hit weapon will become 100% hit when in the hands of a leveled and item's character. Okay, so he has made a mathematical formula to calculate weapon power, which is apparently supposed to represent how good a weapon is. So it's damage times durability. So durability alone can like matter apparently. Like it can make a weapon really good apparently. Crit percentage times 3. So critical rate is very important. Most weapons only have like 0, so whatever. 100 minus hit percentage. So if a weapon has 70 hit, that means this comes out to like 30. But if it has 60 hit, then it comes out higher. Okay. I'm sure there's an explanation for this, but wow. And then weight times 4. So regardless of what kind of character with whatever con rating is supposed to use this, weight. Oh wait, it's minus. Never mind. Okay, so this is subtracted and this is subtracted. There we go. So these are negatives. Okay, that's okay. It's still very bad, but hey, whatever. So a weapon that's like an iron axe is gonna have a 44 penalty or something for just weighing that much. So I'm not going to go through these because, well, I mean, look at the fucking length of this. But just as an example of how he rates the weapons, Slim Sword, one of the weakest weapons in the game, but it will hit for sure and has that 5% critical, which occurs more than it statistically should. 97 weapon power, 97. That comes out higher than, for example, Zambado, which only has 49. You know why? Because the Zambado is heavy, it's inaccurate, and he doesn't take into account effectiveness at all for this. So you just supposed to like... That's like a pretty important thing. Note how like the Iron Blade ends pretty high because of the high might, which is like ×4, and like the high amount it uses as well. I like the Iron Sword rating. It's like the most reliable weapon in the game. Great hit percent, enough damage to add to your strength, and great durability. I've slayed Draco zombies with this weapon. That sounds like the way I would play this game, definitely. Let's use that. Oh my god. But yeah, have fun reading this on your own. This video is like an hour long already, so I'm not going to go on anymore. But holy fuck. Even by 2009 standards, which are desperately low, every single rating contradicts another rating. It's baffling how bad this one is. This is one of the worst ones I've seen so far. I should make a tier list out of all these. Anyway, reminder, if you have any other guides you'd like me to take a look at, post them down below, and I'll see them there. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time. Peace, goodbye, have fun, love ya.